Welcome to the Trader a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast recaps and analyzes every episode of The Traitors. Not just, I was going to say not just here in the UK, but we're not even talking about the UK today. Not just here in the US, all over the world. Right now, we're talking about Traitors US Season 4. We've been deep diving into every episode, recapping the main events, analysing the tactics, the strategy, the gameplay. And of course, joining me again is David Bloomberg, our US reality TV guru. David, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you here in the US? How are you doing?
The life in the US is fantastic. It's good to be here. David,
Well,
tell
then
us, I,
clearly
I
you're not
described
here. Uh,
Well, yes, I'm far too happy. I've described you as a US reality TV guru. Enlighten us. What am I talking about?
well, yes, I suspect most people know me, but for any who don't and you're joining us for the first time, I have been covering reality TV for over 25 years, including over 10 years on podcasts, and before that, online in newspaper columns on my own reality TV website. Plus, I post reality TV videos on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram as at David Bloomberg TV. And, I'll talk about it online, like on Blue Sky. So I'm all over the place.
And David, it's not just you and I today. We are joined by a special guest. We have a third co-host just for fun, because why not? Let's find out who it is. David and I are joined by CJ Arellano, a writer and filmmaker based in New York. His films have screened at festivals worldwide, including New Fest, the Overlook Film Festival, the Chicago International Film Festival, and the One Fluid Night Film Festival in London, where I met him in person and was lucky enough to see one of his fantastic short films. He's won countless awards for his writing, editing, and directing, and he hosts the Bottle Episodes podcast, a podcast celebrating one location, movies, and TV episodes. CJ, welcome to the Trader. How are you?
Hello, Matthew. Hello, David. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And I love the sound of that bio. We didn't really talk bio beforehand. I didn't even think about it. So that was the first time I was hearing it. You made me sound so much cooler than I actually am. And you said right before we got on the mics, well, if I forget anything or exclude anything, please let me know. The only thing that I would add is that I am a proud cat dad to two cats, Gio and Campanella. They're my lovely twin cats, so I have to give them a mention. But
Okay,
thank
of
you for having
course.
me.
No, no problem. If the cats make an appearance, I won't complain. I love seeing a cat. Mine are
They
locked
might.
away because they are not trustworthy. This is probably obvious, but CJ, you are also a big fan of the Traitors. You've been keeping up with the Traitors US this season. And David, I didn't tell you this. You and CJ have something else in common. I think you are both fairly big Doctor Who fans. Is this
Yes.
right?
No
Yeah,
Yes.
way.
like,
Oh, how fun.
yeah.
I'm like so nervous to ask you any questions because I don't want to turn this into a Doctor Who pod. Really quick, who's your favorite Doctor? We'll leave it at that.
Oof. That's a hard question because I've been watching like forever. It used to be Peter Davison just because that's when I started. But probably David Tennant. I probably have to go with the newer
Same.
doctor on that one.
Same. I'm such a basic Whovian. It's definitely David Tennant for me. So here we are, two basics. That's totally fine with me. It's
I
always
mean,
great to meet another Whovian.
I thought Tom Baker is the default answer most of the time for people who've been watching it the entire time. But it's almost two different shows. Watching the old shows versus the new shows. And I tried to convince Matthew to do a Doctor Who podcast with me for a while, but he said he didn't have
I
time.
Yeah, Traitors kind of takes up my life. I do love it. I love Doctor Who as well, though. I've kind of, I will admit, I have sort of left it behind for now. I've given up a little. I'm going to give a shout out
So
to
have
Matt
most
Smith. I
people.
enjoyed Matt.
So has Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
Right.
Uh, and CJ, we'll talk a bit more about your podcast later, I'm sure. But you did an episode about Midnight, the Doctor Who episode, which
Mm.
is such a great I think even if you've never watched Doctor and you don't know what it is, you could watch that episode and
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
That's right.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's one of my favorites. Just like one of my favorite like horror pieces ever. It just happens to be a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really eerie and
Yeah.
tense, and I've watched that episode several times. Anyway,
Luckily,
but
David Tennant, made an appearance on the Traitors UK. So he was pretending to be someone else, but we know it was him.
oh yes, of course, I forgot. Yes, yes, that's right. Uh, Now we will, of course, be talking today about episode 9 of the Traitors US Season 4, and a little later we've got more listener questions and thoughts and voice notes that we're going to get to. So many, in fact, that again we'll do a bonus episode separate to this because there'll be so much to respond to there. So hopefully, CJ, you might be sticking around to answer our listener questions then. For now, we've got a couple of things to catch up on. Number one, I'm going to mention this right up top. Well, not really right up top. We've been talking about Doctor Who for
Yeah.
5 minutes, but beyond that, I have been teasing an online Traitors game that I am going to host, and the time is here. It has come. I can officially launch it. I will be hosting our first online Traitors game on Sunday, the 1st of March. It will be at 6 p.m. UK time. So you might have to sort of figure out and adjust that if you're not in the UK and you think you might want to come along. I will be hosting. I'll be joined by some familiar voices. Some of our Trader co-hosts are going to be playing the game, and it's now open to anyone to join up, sign up, register yourself for a ticket. I will put the link to tickets, in the episode description. It will be on social media. You'll be able to find it by looking on the Trader YouTube page and Instagram page and so on. But right now, episode description, you'll see the link there. It's on Eventbrite. It will go live at 8 p.m. on Friday, UK time. So I'm pretty sure by the time you're listening to
Yeah.
this, tickets will be available. And something to mention is, I'll tell you more about it later. But there's a charge to play. The tickets are £11. I'm not sure what that is in dollars. Not much more. However, there's a bit of a discount. If you keep listening to the podcast, I will give you a discount code at the end of the episode, or maybe in our bonus episode. Maybe I'll mention it both times. So discount code, and it will reduce the price of the tickets. You'll have to listen a little bit later if you want that, and I'll tell you more about the game.
So,
But it's very exciting.
so you're the host. That means I can't murder you.
You can
Not that I'll be a
murder
traitor.
me.
Of course, I will be a faithful.
Oh, of course not.
Obviously. Yeah.
Speaking of that, David, we can't help but notice your incredible murder, Alan coming top. Where is this? Did you steal it from Alan himself?
I did. I added sleeves. So because his did not have sleeves. No, it's I saw this on an Etsy shop because I looked at the original NBC store. I mean the official NBC store, and they have it in like a tank top. I don't wear tank tops. And I know that's what Alan was wearing. Sorry, I can't pull it off like Alan. There's a lot of things Alan wears that I can't pull off. But there was an Etsy store that has it. And and the other problem with the official NBC store, I got sidetracked there, is so they have it in this proper font there, but then in t-shirt and sweatshirt, they switched it to some sort of weird Gothic font that doesn't even look good. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? And so I saw this Etsy store and got it just in the nick of time. She has has it on pause. You can still go to see some of her other stuff. Her name is Jenny Rue Designs, JenniRue. And I believe this shirt is not there right now, but there are other reality TV related shirts. So look at that. So it's got the silver sparkles and the right font and everything. So, probably can't wear it out in public or else people will look at me funny, but
Or you
Well, it
attract
looks
fellow
great.
traitors viewers. People come up to you and
Exactly, suss them out. But I do
Yeah.
want to mention what I had mentioned to you fellows before, which is that I went to the NBC Experience store at Rockefeller Center yesterday in person, hoping to get the exact shirt that you're talking about, David, because I wanted the tank top. And I was going to wear it on this pod. So that would have been an embarrassing moment for us. We would have ended up in not the same garment, but very similar looks. So I'm glad we were able to avoid that. But not only were they out of Traitors wear, Traitors merch, but they looked at me like I was so weird for asking, do you have any Traitors merchandise? And yet they had shelves and shelves of Law and Order shirts and Jimmy Fallon shirts. So somehow those are in demand, but not Traitors merch. Go figure. So I will definitely be looking at this Etsy store.
Okay.
yeah, strange, so weird. I
Uh,
don't get them.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, I also want to mention, because you talked about a couple times the bonus podcast. I want to, kind of tease. There's a few other things besides question and answer that we'll be discussing. Like, you know how Lisa Rinna commented on one of my videos last week? Well,
Yes.
Tara Lipinski did this week. So we'll talk about that. Plus,
Yeah.
there was an interview with the Traitors producers that covered topics, a bunch of topics we've discussed here, like the casting of Michael and Colton, Donna as the secret traitor, a rumor of an all-star season, and also Alan Cumming gave some controversial answers to Andy on Watch What Happens Live. So there's been a lot of Traitors-related things going on that weren't in the actual episode itself.
Yes, lots for us to talk about. And we before we get into episode 9, I have a bit of a catch up on episode 8 to mention too. This is I had a voice note from Rebecca, and I'm going to play it now rather than save it for later. Before we sort of move on to new events. So Rebecca pointed out something about episode 8 that I don't think we really talked about, David, and it seems so obvious now that Rebecca says it, but didn't really occur to me. So I'm going to play that now. Let's hear what Rebecca reckoned about episode 8.
Hey guys, I wanted to get your opinion on something. I was a little surprised that in the most recent episode that Candace didn't claim to be framed. That seemed to be a popular theory that came up in UK season 4 of the Traitors of different people being framed by the Traitors. And I was a little surprised that Candace didn't employ this because it seemed like she didn't know that Colton was actually gunning for her. So the people that did know that were Rob and I think one other person. And so I was a little bit surprised that she didn't take that angle of sort of backtracking, like I think they did a lot of times, of who was in the room when. And I feel like she should have claimed the truth, which is that she didn't know that Colton was gunning for her, and therefore, whoever did know should be suspected because they were the ones who could easily frame her. If it was common knowledge that he was coming for her, then that would be one thing. But I was just a little bit surprised that she didn't employ that tactic or theory, and I'm curious what you all think.
Thanks for that, Rebecca. And any thoughts? This seems like that would have probably been a better way to approach it.
Yes, but there's a couple of things here. One, I think the only people, okay, as far as I remember, Rob and Maura were definitely in the room with Colton. Now, there may have been a different room. I'm trying to remember if Colton was in a different room and maybe told like Steven or something like that. There's a couple things here. One, the UK players are better players. But let's just put it out there. As much as, we may have said, oh, those clueless faithfuls, at least some of them were better at picking this sort of thing out and following it up. They didn't always get to the right conclusion, but, they did that. Two, Candace, I think because she didn't figure it out until midway through the day, it would have been weird to suddenly bring that up. Like, oh, I didn't know about it. Apparently only a couple of you did, but I was framed. And besides, she had the fork dropping. What more could you need?
Of course. The fork. That was Forkgate. Yeah, I had the same thought that although this does seem like it would have been a smarter play, but I wonder if it seemed like Candice only had that chat with Rob shortly
Hmm.
before the round table, so just
Yeah, it
didn't
was
have
dinner.
the time to figure out that that might be the way to play it. Pretend she's
Hmm.
been framed and then go right into the round table and bring it up. I think it just all happened too relatively quickly. And she by that point I think was so annoyed at Rob, was just intent on coming for him, which was really not what it was
Yeah.
doomed to fail, but she was set on it and wasn't really thinking of any other way out of it. Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I discussed it in my, why Candace lost video, and also another couple videos. And I know there are people out there who really like Candace and who saw things differently. So there is a debate going on. Did Rob make the first move? Did Candace make the first move? We're not going to get into all of that again here.
yeah,
I addressed my opinions on that in those other videos, but what she did come with was not much.
yeah.
She forked
But
up.
thanks for that, Rebecca. And Rebecca, you should apply to go on the civilian version of Traitors US because that was a smarter way to play, probably than
Yes.
some of these players would have thought of. So go ahead and apply. Application's still open. Uh, I think we're ready to go ahead, guys. We are going to get into episode 9 of Traitors US. Here we go. So we ended at the blackmail. And just to remind everybody, David, you and I had predictions. David, you predicted that Tara or Dorinda would be murdered. I went for Tara. Although I will say, in a phone call last night with Joe, who listens to our pod and has been on the pod, you'll just have to trust me. I said to Joe, actually, I think it'll be Dorinda because we're. I promise. I'm telling you, I'm 100% faithful. And David, you predicted that Johnny would be banished next. I predicted that Stephen would be banished. Ooh, let's see what
Mm.
happens. So, of course, after Candace's banishment, Rob has chosen to blackmail Eric as his recruit. That's where we begin. We've got this great reaction from Eric. He can't believe it's Rob. He's going, bro, I feel crazy. Great job. So, and like, I mean, it's obvious what's happening, but Rob obviously has been told you have to tell him explicitly. It's an ultimatum. So he's like, I've got an ultimatum for you. He says, you're a smart guy. If you choose to join arms with me, I'm fully confident we're going to win the game. And Eric says, all right, I'm in. He gets his cloak. He's
Sorry, really quick.
Eric.
Did either of you think that he would actually turn down the ultimatum? And because I know it was unlikely, but I so wanted it to happen. I wanted him to turn it down, and then Rob's the lone traitor in the house. And then this was back when we thought that he might still be banished, like he might be a target. So I want to see a season of traitors where the board has been cleared of traitors and it's only faithfuls left at the end. I feel like faithfuls always act like that's a possibility, but we've never seen it. I don't know. Can you comment on, like, has that played out in international versions at all?
I don't think it's possible, because if Eric had ridiculously turned it down, they would have just called someone else.
Call
They would
someone
have
else,
kept,
you think?
yeah, he would have kept blackmailing till there was 2. They're not going to this point with 1. So the only way it would happen is if they get to, like, final 6, final 5, whatever that last round table is. If they've whittled it down to 1 and they get that 1, and so they could get to the fire of truth with no traitors.
Without,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
We're never going to have an empty turret, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
there are still people mad about season 2. What happened when there were, spoiler alert for season 2, when there were 3 faithful at the end and 2 of the faithful voted 1 out. There are literally still people commenting on some of my videos from 2 years ago saying they were wrong to do that to her and they were just greedy. It's like, it happened 2 years ago. I understand you just saw this video now. but it happened
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Time to move on. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, they would have just told Rob, okay, pick the next one, and he would do it all over
Right.
again and just keep blackmailing. I guess it wouldn't feel fair to have a round table where you force the players they have to banish someone when there are no traitors left. Like, you're
Yeah.
forcing them to get rid of a faithful. At least at the Fire of Truth, the end game, it's their choice if they want to do that, and they can say no. But I don't think there will ever be a version where there are just no we cut to the turret and it's just like a tumbleweed blows by and
Yeah,
Alan just sort of
See, to me, that's good television.
Yeah.
maybe once they run out of idea, like season 72,
Yeah.
they'll be like, just do it. At this point we're gonna get cancelled any day. So yeah, Eric's on board, he's in. Rob tells him, "Green looks good on you, man," and off they head. And it's so funny because I mean, throughout this episode, Eric is just like, just like rabbit in the headlights. It's like he doesn't even know what the traitors have been doing this whole time. So Rob's like, we have to murder. And Eric's like, oh, we have to murder someone. Rob's just like, yeah, that's the job. That's what we have to do.
It's like our job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric says that he's about to shit his pants and his head's going to explode. And I thought, this is not a great indication for Eric is not built for this. Like,
No.
he's not had to do anything yet, and he's already having a meltdown. But I mean, at least he, he did the right thing by saying, yes, I will be a traitor. And he in confessional is worrying that Rob could turn on him, but he thinks, well, for now, we're gonna have, if we want to make it ahead, I'm gonna have to just trust him for the time being and move forward.
I mean, Rob did introduce himself, afterwards and say, "I'm the traitor hunter." So, I could see a little bit of being nervous there, but
Yes.
But Rob's seemed to give no indication, at least in the confessionals, that he plans to do that with Eric immediately. That was the biggest twist to me, is that he's saying, "Oh, you're an equal, you're an ally," and then we cut to him in the confessional. He says, "Yeah, I see Eric as an equal, as an ally." I'm like, really? You don't see him as this loyal lapdog? Like, you really see taking him to the end? I don't know that I should necessarily take even what Rob says in the confessional at face value, but it is really strange that he seemed to be picking someone that he wanted to take to the end and that he thought was strategic and had intelligent gameplay. These were the words out of his mouth. And to me, that was the biggest stunner.
I don't know how much to... I think if it comes to it, Rob will drop Eric if circumstances make that the best choice. But for now, I think he's happy to go along with a fellow.
Yeah, for now, exactly. The thing is he ever going to be able? I mean, Eric has the, well, okay, I guess by the end of this episode that changes, but as of this moment, Eric is such the loyal, obvious faithful that can you count on that happening? But I guess by the end of the episode, maybe you can.
Yeah, and guys, the time has come for something very exciting in the podcast. It's a first. I've been waiting for this moment for a couple of months now. If you have not seen Celebrity Traitors UK, what's about to happen in the next 10 seconds will mean nothing to you. I'm gonna play something that this is the time. The time has come. Here we go.
Maybe someone's been recruited.
Thanks to Magica, our loyal co-host, songwriter, music producer extraordinaire, we have a jingle to go along with the recruitment. Yes, again, if you've not seen Celebrity Traitors UK, you'll be like, what was that noise? What was that music? What does it mean? If you know, you know. I'll move on. We're in the turret. Rob is reassuring Eric, they have to stick together. We've got to get to the end. Eric just looks like a tiny bunny rabbit, just like, okay, Mr. Rob. And they agree that, well, Johnny is probably going to get banished next. He's the one that most people are looking at. And they talk about their potential murder victims. It seems to be Natalie, Dorinda, or Stephen, interestingly.
Yeah. I was like, why not Tara? What happened to
Yeah.
Tara? You know what? She seems like an obvious possibility. So obvious you predicted her. So
Yeah.
I wish they would have said why they didn't mention Tara. Just a couple words, but no, they didn't bother.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
second that they mentioned Natalie, Dorinda, and Steven, I said, well, Natalie and Steven both have had heat on them, and
Yeah.
Dorinda is like pretty much a confirmed faithful to everyone. So once they named that trio, I was like, oh, it's absolutely Dorinda. Like, you'd be a fool to choose either of the other
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, I thought so too. And
Yeah, the only reason, and they even said this was, well, she's loyal to Rob. And it doesn't, so, but the thing is,
Everybody's loyal to
everybody's loyal to Rob. Exactly. It's like, find me someone who's not.
yeah, I mean, there's also Rob tells Eric, oh, by the way, Kristen has the shield. There was, I'm going to mention
Mhm.
here a listener theory about this actually. A couple of people commented this online. But the first I saw was Christina6910 on YouTube, who suggested smart move by Rob is to murder Kristen, knowing that she has the shield. Double bluff, get heat off him. And my first response was, oh yeah, that could be smart. Like sort of fake pretend to murder her, and then the next day be like, oh my God, someone tried to murder Kristen, but she had the shield. And Rob could be like, well, I can't be the traitor then because I knew she had the shield. But
Mhm.
actually,
Mhm.
I thought about it for a few more minutes, and then I realized I don't think that would have made sense because everybody knew that one of those three people had the shield. I don't think anyone would
Right.
have even attempted to go for Kristen or Mark or Rob. They were the three people in the gallery team. They,
Yeah.
they, we didn't see much talk about it, but like I don't think Kristen told everybody else she had the shield, but the
No,
other
yeah.
players knew that probably one of them had a shield. So I don't think anybody would have bothered targeting her.
Sure.
So I
Also,
actually don't think that would
too,
have worked.
there would just be no murder. Everybody would show up at breakfast, and then everybody would assume that it was a blackmail or
Right.
recruitment that got turned down, or I don't think they would have gone to, someone tried to murder Kristen. I don't
Unless
know.
I don't think we have a definitive answer yet as to whether the player who has the shield gets called in, told they tried to murder you, but your shield saved you. We've had kind of some conflicting indications on that, but I don't know that we have a definitive answer. And I feel
Uh,
like it might be one way in certain countries and another way in
yeah.
other countries. So,
In the UK, we did once have a player with a shield be given the letter. They came into the
yeah.
room, they opened the letter, but they had their shield. But yeah, that was
Hmm.
UK. Different countries do treat things different ways. So yeah, we don't know for sure how they would have approached
Yeah.
this. Uh,
And the other thing
it,
is, the one other thing is, it's Rob. He is bulletproof. He is Teflon. He is,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to do more things to make himself look like a faithful. He is already the angel faithful from on high.
right. So yeah, he wouldn't have needed to do any of that.
Right.
Sure. So their options are Dorinda, Natalie, and Steven. They say that, well, Dorinda, yeah, she's obviously faithful. It's not going to come back to them. They don't have any obvious ties to murdering her. They say they say about Natalie, she'll be hard to
She'll be
banish. I
hard to
was
banish. I wrote that in
surprised at
my
that.
notes too. Yeah, I was like, really? But they were almost going to go for her not two
I, I,
roundtables ago. So I want to know
I,
where that tide turned.
I think it was at that round table. We saw her convince people, and I think that just fully did
Yeah,
people switch and say, "Oh, right, she is a faithful." Because remember, Rob talked through a lot of the logic. Like, why would she, if she were a traitor, why would she take the antidote from Tara, who was clearly not the target? There, he actually basically cleared her name.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I think the more people thought about that, the more they realized, oh, okay. Plus, I wasn't it like Lisa and Candace mostly pushing the Natalie idea, so I'm sure
Yeah,
that
and
That's a good point. Yes.
also
yeah,
helped there.
yeah. My first reaction was, "Oh, that's really odd." But
Mhm.
maybe it also, yeah, maybe it was just because Natalie convinced or argued so well that they thought even if her name comes up again, she'll be great at working her way out of it.
Yeah.
So let's just not bother letting that happen. And for Stephen, their thought is, oh, it would just be random. Sometimes it's great to just murder a random person. But again, I thought, a couple of people had been talking about Stephen. His name has popped up, so I would have wanted,
I
as we'll see from this episode, I would have
I
wanted.
feel
to
like
confirm.
I feel like sometimes, they're told they have to discuss three people.
Yeah.
And so they really only want one person, but they come up with these reasons like, oh, it would be random. Okay, if you're going to force us to talk about someone else, I guess we'll just make something up.
Right.
I think so too. Yeah. David, you're suggesting it's not an organic discussion. They're being prompted. I take that back.
Not prompted, just they're told when you go up there, you have to discuss three people.
Yeah. The magic of TV is ruined.
Yeah.
So they make their decision, and Rob tells us in confessionally, yes, this is where he says he thinks Eric's smart and strategic. And I mean, I also think Rob picked Eric because he knows Eric will just do whatever he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't say it, but I'm guessing that's part of it. We move to breakfast next morning.
Well,
First group in.
How can you leave this line? I know you're trying to shorten it, and I'm interrupting here. But as they're leaving, Rob tells Eric he looks like Harry Potter, and Eric says, "But the Slytherin kind." And I'm like, no. Like the little kid Harry Potter kind, actually, Eric.
Pure
like the
Hufflepuff, okay?
Hufflepuff, yeah.
Hufflepuff and the kids, like from the first movie.
Yeah, little Gryffindor, but yeah, Hufflepuff energy. Yeah, Eric, no one thinks you're a Slytherin. Like, don't.
No.
By the way, CJ, you're sort of got like a sort of. It looks dark green to me, like sort of Slytherin type.
Sure.
Color. It's
I'll buy it. Oh, totally.
You know what I'm suggesting?
I mean, I was going for slutty vampire. Like, oh, what would I wear in the Traitors Castle? My mind just goes to slutty vampire. The other thing that I was almost going to wear was this little cloak that's like a slanket. It's like the closest thing I had to like a cloak. But because I've seen you all wear cloaks on this pod before, but I went with slutty vampire, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
If they ever do Traitors Junior and like have the kids version, they could give them slankets, and so it just feels a bit more cozy. And after they have their murder discussion, they go for nap time, and like, I mean, that would be quite weird, but it could soften things up a little bit.
It's like little Traitors babies instead of Muppet babies. Little Traitors babies. I would watch that.
At some point there will be some AI version of that online, I'm sure. So off we head to breakfast. Rob, Mark, Kristen are the first to arrive. Of course, they were the three who were in the gallery team, so they were, probably all thought they were going to be safe. No one was going to target them. One of them would have had a shield. Kristen tells us that she trusts these two the most, so further proof that no one is really questioning Rob. I'll have more to say about that later. They chat about Johnny and are relying on that moment from yesterday where Candace very loudly suggested Johnny needs a shield. Johnny's not had a shield yet. Let Johnny go to the gallery. So they've picked up on that. A few people have mentioned it. They think that she wanted someone on the inside on the gallery team, which she may well have wanted. It doesn't mean he's a traitor, though, which he talks about later. They talk about Tara, sorry. They talk about ice skating lady and think that maybe Johnny's a traitor and he's using her and she's like his faithful, it's a sort of he's the traitor stringing her along to the end. They've noticed that she usually votes the same way as Johnny, so that might make sense.
And she looks terrified. Which I'm wondering, was that a pun, Kristen? Terrified?
That's how you can remember the pronunciation.
There you go.
Terrified.
Okay, I'll try.
Well, I don't know. Matthew probably pronounces it terrified or something.
Horrified.
Like that. Yeah.
That sounds like that would be like her debut pop album.
Right. I don't even know what you guys are saying. Are you saying torrified? Because that's how I pronounce it. So right at this moment, Tara and Eric arrive.
Well, before that, they talk about that she has an established friendship with, that they have this friendship,
Right.
and I'm like, wait. As far as we knew, nobody knew about that. So and then we get a few more hints. My first thought is, okay, I guess maybe they know there's a friendship, but not how much of one. And that kind
Yeah.
of trickles through the episode that basically they know that they've worked together, but the two of them have really downplayed how close they are, which
Right.
I'll have more to say about that later, just from watching the two of them recently and also Tara's TikTok.
Right. Yes. Yeah. A few people have asked me that. How come it's not? Why is it? Why doesn't everyone realize? Of course, they're really close and know each other. But I think it's like you said, David. It's sort of it's not that black and white. I think people realize. Oh, obviously they know each other. I think they
Right.
just don't realize they are, as Rob puts it, besties for the resties. So I don't think
Yes.
which I've never heard that phrase before, and I will be using it from now on. So when Eric arrives at breakfast, by the way, and sort of like bounds in, and he's really sweet, and I do think, well, until the end of the episode, I do think maybe he'll have the Alan Carr effect if listeners have seen that UK. So, and I don't think that's a spoiler to say that. This is from like September last year. I'm not spoiling the outcome of that season. In the first episode, we found out that comedian Alan Carr is picked as a traitor and does really well with it.
You're
Because-
spoiling the first episode.
Sorry.
How
Sorry,
could
guys.
you?
I know. But, Alan Carr got away with so much because he's funny and, sweats a lot and looks nervous, and people just think, oh, it's just Alan. And I kind of think Eric could well just get away with a lot because he's sweet and friendly and they all like him and he always looks a bit nervous and worried. So I think there could be a bit of Alan Carr effect with Eric.
I don't know. Eric still has a similar problem. Well, a kind of a reverse problem. Like Alan could not say without cracking a joke, he was a faithful. Eric can't say the word traitor. Even in confessional, he's like, this is my first morning as a traitor. And it's like, you're allowed to say the word out loud. It's okay.
Yeah. And he says it about 10 times throughout this episode. He's like, this is my first breakfast as a traitor. This is my first mission as a traitor. This is my first round table as a traitor. Like,
Yeah.
this is
I
the
think
first
on
time
paper,
I've gone to the
yeah.
restroom as a traitor.
Yeah.
He had a lot going for him. I don't want to skip to the end, but he kind of didn't realize how insulated he
Yes.
was. He didn't realize his standing in the castle, and he basically succumbs to like a full-on mental breakdown by the end of it. But we'll get there.
Yeah. Yes.
It is funny when they do that. This is my first, because like I was watching NASCAR racing last night. And see, you might think this was a lie, what I'm about to tell you, but we're not playing that game. And it was literally the first race of the season. It's not even an official race. It's a race to get into the race or to see your placement. And they went to what's called a green-white checker, which means there was a crash near the end and they have to reset everybody. And so they only do 2 more laps. And the announcer says, well, we just had the first green-white checker of the season. It's the first race. It's obviously the first one of the season. So, yes, Eric, we get it. It is your first this as a traitor. It's your first that as a traitor. It's just something that people on TV say, or they, producers have him say, or whatever. It's like, yes, we get it. We understand.
Yeah. He's been primed. He's been prepped to talk on TV. He's used to this world, I guess. Before the next group arrive, I think there's a little moment of Tara defending Johnny to the others. I think she knows they're talking about him, and she's like, no, you guys. And then Maura and Johnny arrive, and Maura's sad that Candace is gone. She's saying that, before yesterday, I just didn't suspect her at all. Johnny is talking about Candace too and saying, I feel like an idiot. I guess she used me. She kept me on as faithful by her side. I was so blind. And he knows this could spell trouble for him. He knows he's going to be called into question for it, which he has been and he will be. Next up, we're waiting for the last 3 to arrive.
So this is where I didn't realize it was so soon. This is I wrote my notes. I don't know. Someone put it in there. But this is where she says she worked with him, and so that's all it says. But like I said, if you look at her TikTok, There's literally a video of him giving her an IVF related shot on there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. These two are close. I mean, yes, for right now on, in the Olympics, they're doing some fun videos. And I think there's even one where she says that moment, or the title of it is that moment where you realize every love song is actually about you and your best friend. And so they're singing it together and everything else. But you don't just let a coworker give you an IVF shot.
Yeah.
Like, I've been very close friends with some of my coworkers. I still can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're besties for the resties. They are incredibly close.
Yeah.
So much so that at one point Johnny says, "We've been through divorce," and I thought, with each other.
No. Yeah.
Because y'all are acting like you were married, your exes, and now you're back from the brink and stronger than ever.
Yeah.
What is this bond? I want it.
Yeah, I thought that too. Well, I didn't really think that, but it just was a funny moment. And he says, like, we've been through IVF, and I'm like, what? You guys are... have I missed something? But I guess it's just like, yes,
right.
We're in each other's lives. We've been through the ups and downs.
And I had just seen that TikTok. It was one of her pinned TikToks. It's like from a year or more ago. But so... Yeah, I had just seen that. And then, boom, here he is on, talking about it. I'm like, oh, I actually know what he's referring to. Okay, that was good timing,
There you go. We're waiting then for...
Yeah. Sorry, I really want to quickly bring up Detective Mora. She's so close to being right about Rob. So close. Because she's the only one who's observing this data about who's voting for Rob. Right. And so she says, "Oh, yeah, I noticed that Candace voted for you." And that's the thing that I was waiting for. Okay, here it comes. Rob's like in the hot seat. And she says, "I think it was a message to her fellow traitors on who to murder next." Why would Candace care about that?
Yeah, it was.
How is that your interpretation?
The way they set that up was great because they have her point at Rob and said, "I felt it could be you." And then they cut in a scene which was probably from totally different of him going, gulping. And then, she moves to this other thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm surprised they didn't cut to a commercial there where she says, "It could be you." But I know they're going to cut to commercial in like 2 minutes for the reveal anyway. Yeah. But it was a fun moment. And then more of this moment.
So close.
Yeah, so close. Oh, Mara. So it's time for the reveal. It's either going to be two of Natalie, Stephen, and Dorinda, and I also made a note here that I had no idea what Maura was talking about. I was just like, huh? And the door knocks. I'm assuming commercial break, and we hear just Kristen going, "What the fuck?" And then
I thought it was Eric. Back. No, Eric. Eric. I thought it was Eric saying that.
It's. I was like taking my notes, so I just heard a voice like, "Oh, someone said it." Okay,
you clearly have Eric's golden ear.
I've got Eric's, Eric's aptitude for recognizing voices perfectly. And in walks Natalie, followed by Stephen, and yes, that means Dorinda's gone. And there we go, David, you were right.
Yes,
well done.
And then Maura joins in with a "What the fuck did she do?" And I'm like. Nothing all season long.
Yeah, that's the point, Maura. So Dorinda's gone. There's not. We see her getting her letter. She just doesn't say anything that interesting. Just sort of gives some platitudes. Says it's time to go home. I mean, at least she seems like not too bothered by it this time. So bye, Dorinda. Please don't come back next season.
She just wanted to be there longer. And she says, with her murder letter, she says, "Curiosity killed the cat." I'm like, what curiosity? You didn't show, or at least we didn't see any curiosity at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm glad she's gone for multiple reasons, including, how she treated Ron earlier this season. And I'm also glad it's not Natalie. But mostly I'm glad Dorinda's gone. She never should have been brought back. She was, I never understood what they saw in her that was so important that they bring her of all people back. Like, you'd better bring back some interesting people next season if you're gonna do this BS.
Yeah, I heard her say that curiosity killed the cat as well, but I didn't even write it down because I was like, what was she talking about? This meant nothing to me. Alan arrives and has a little, a little poetry. Says, Dorinda, she did not linger, but at last the traitors did rescind ya. And gives them their clue about the mission, tells them to keep their minds open and think outside the box. Toodles, off he goes. Stephen, of course, they're like, "Oh, box, box. I don't want to be in a box. We're going to be in a box. We're going to be buried alive or something." Alan, off you go. Yeah, Stephen says, Steve has this like throwaway moment, almost a throwaway. I wasn't going to write it down. He says, he's like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm still here. For sure. I thought I was going to get murdered." And
My bags were
Natalie,
packed.
Yeah.
yeah. And Natalie seems to pick up on just his delivery. She feels like it's insincere. He's pretending. He's acting. Um, she also worries for a minute. I think that she didn't vote for Candace last night, so is wondering if other people will pick up on that as odd. And mentions Stephen seems like he's acting a little bit this morning and something's not quite right.
Well, and
Off
also
we-
don't forget they toast to Dorinda. How can you
Oh
forget the
God,
toast
yeah, they
to
always have their-
Dorinda? The only thing that's important there is mildly important is Kristen calls Dorinda Rob's little wifey. So like that's how close they were, which again indicates there's no way they will think that Rob did it. And indeed, in the flashback to the turret, they said, when they discussed it, they talked more about, well, it's losing an ally, but they think they have enough. And this goes back to what we said earlier. Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah, right. Well, it's time for some sort of castle reality time, a few discussions and chats. Mark chats to Stephen alone, but then Eric joins in. They are suspecting Johnny right now because of his closeness with Candace. All of all of the focus on Johnny, 15 minutes into the episode, makes me pretty sure Johnny is not going to be banished. Like, it's too obvious. So I already thought this is leading us astray.
You're right, but there is something. They do this in Survivor from time to time when it is so obvious someone is going. They just make it a downfall episode, and they show you every step of the way how this person is screwing up and how clear it is, and they just have fun with it, and they do that. And so I was kind of like, is this going to be? Are they taking a page out of Survivor here and making this Johnny's downfall episode?
Yeah,
But
it could have been that.
They've never, to my recollection, they've never done that before. So this would be a first.
Yeah. I felt like it's just a habit of this show in particular
Yeah.
to
Distract,
not ever make it
deflect.
too obvious. Yeah,
Totally.
distract. Sure.
I definitely see what you're saying, David. I was living for those downfall vibes. I was playing into it, especially when Johnny and Tara kind of like bond together, and suddenly they're acting like they're going to like their shared death, right? And for me, I realized this is what I'm missing from Celebrity Traitors that I get from the international versions, like these close, deep interpersonal friendships. That's not allies, like, oh, we're both gamers or we're both housewives, but like an actual friendship or relationship that is like propelling the drama. So I totally thought we were watching a downfall episode. It was going to be one of them. And so, yeah, the Civilian Traitors US version cannot come soon enough for me. That's what I live for.
Yeah,
They're still accepting applications.
yeah. CJ, come on, get in there.
I know. Things to think about.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm seeing the Chiron. CJ, filmmaker, New York. Like it's they need creatives on the cast. Come on. So we also see Johnny and Tara. Yes, they have their chat in the library, and Tara lets him know he's in trouble. I think he knew anyway. And he says something really funny to me in his confessional. He's like, when we were growing up, we weren't playing games like this. We were skating. We were in the Olympics. And I thought, yes, the Olympics, notoriously not a competitive environment at all. Nothing
Well,
like
it's a different kind of competition. They weren't playing games. I mean, so this was another coincidence, because something popped up on my Chromecast, and it was a video of the two of them rewatching Tara's gold medal performance. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I didn't realize it was from 6 years ago. I mean, that's how good friends they were, that they were watching this together 6 years ago and commentating on it. She was talking about it. She was 15 years old
Wow.
when she won this, when
Yeah,
she won
crazy.
gold. And yeah, that's insane to me. And she looks 15. She looks like a little kid. And
Yeah.
in there. And that's just amazing. The things that she was doing on the ice at
Yeah.
15 years old. Just the amount of practice that that she had to do. So yeah, she wasn't playing games. She was practicing triples.
So she wasn't taking inspiration from like Tonya Harding and secretly plotting to murder people off the rink? No, I
Yeah,
just thought
like
that's
a
what
You
I
know
wrong
what?
figure
expected.
skater. I want
Next
to see
season,
Tanya Harding on this show.
next
Yeah, exactly.
season, next
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
Tanya Harding will be on, along with oh God, what was her name? Who did she?
Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nancy Kerrigan.
yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, they'll
right.
both be on. They won't know that the other is there till they show up together. This will be the
Right.
stunt casting next season.
And I
Yeah.
want both of
And
them to be traitors.
yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Make
But
it
you know
happen.
what? I flagged that comment too. And then initially it made me laugh because I thought, okay, Johnny, you think that all these other people have like
right.
normal childhoods? But now, David, that you talk it out, yes, when you're being raised as an Olympic athlete, your biggest competitor is yourself. You're just trying to be
Mhm.
the best, the best, the best you can be. And it was a little heartbreaking to watch both of them take so much of like the events of this episode personally. And you
Mm.
notice later on, I don't want to flip ahead too much, but Johnny keeps talking about his character, and during the mission, Tara feels like really attacked. And it's because,
Yes.
like that is the muscle that have been building in their brain the whole time. Like, I want to be seen as the best of the best, and I want to be the best of the best. And so, yeah, this is not necessarily the arena for them for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Right.
does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny then tells Tara, I think at this point, that he's going to use the fact, oh, that Candace, he saw Candace and Stephen having that secret
hmm
chat. They were in the library, and he and Dorinda tried to come in, and Candace said, "No, give us a minute." Now, first of all, I think those chats happen all the time anyway between pairs, so it maybe won't be that. I get that he's like, well, I need to use something, so that's the thing that I'll use. It's kind of just a shame that Dorinda, who he's with, isn't around to verify that. So he could just be, and Candace isn't here anymore. So even if he brings that up, well, Stephen could just deny it or explain his way out of it. But I don't know if it's that odd to say I saw two people talking alone. Like, it's probably not
Yeah,
that
I
big of
think
a
it's well, we later find out. It's the timing of it. It is right after someone had brought up Stephen's name to Candace.
I
And
guess.
boom,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
in a room together and they say, leave us alone, basically.
sure.
And it was suspicious enough that Dorinda, not the brightest bulb, says that's telling
Yeah, yeah,
as they're leaving. So,
yeah. Although if I was Stephen, my defense would be, if this is true, why would I conspicuously be in a room with
right.
Candace and then like tell people to leave us alone? Like, come on, like a traitor. I
Yeah,
would not do that as a traitor.
there is no season ever where two traitors would stand together and ask a third person to leave, like standing in front of a picture or something, or or like maybe even like a group of more than two traitors would sit together at a table in front of everyone. Those things would
guess.
never happen.
That sure, but Stephen doesn't need to acknowledge that. He can pretend,
Yes.
okay? Next, we move to the billiards room. We've got Rob, Eric, Mora. They're also talking about Stephen this morning, his behavior. And Eric is just in awe of Rob. He's like, I can't believe, look at him. He's so relaxed. He's just lying there. He's like an eagle soaring across the sky. And Mora, sitting with these two traitors, obviously she doesn't realize that, is just going, I mean, guys, like, if it's not Stephen, who else is it? Like, she just can't fathom it could be anyone else, let alone the two people that she's sitting in the room with. We also see Tara talking to Kristen alone and tells her she she tells her she trusts her and she knows that everybody thinks her trader is off and that she just keeps throwing out really bad votes. And Tara says, well, I suspect Stephen. Kristen just goes, I don't think it's Stephen. And then basically tells her, I think it's you. actually, Tara. That's what's going on. And she says she's too scared and nervous all the time. And we cut to Tara in confessional, just like she thinks I could be like her mind's blown. She's like she thinks it could be me, and so it's like this is for the first time it's occurred to her that someone may suspect her of being a traitor. So she's just like mind blown and
Well,
says, "Well, I need to come up with a new game plan then." Like, oh my God, someone thinks I'm a traitor.
and I think she really is mind blown because she knows she's not. And the way she acts, she knows that there's no way she could be one. So how could anyone think that about me?
Yes, so this really throws her. And then it is time for the mission. We get a little bit of chat in the cars on the way there. Stephen is focused on Johnny, of course. Meanwhile, we cut to Johnny. He's talking to Maura and Rob, and he tells them he feels he's not very good at defending himself. And he says to Maura something about he's like, I know you've mentioned my name, and I get Maura's like, me? Like, I've been mentioning your name, like horrified. And yeah, so I mean, there's not much else to say there.
Well, they're both like, oh, I just think everybody's name has come up.
Oh,
hasn't it?
yeah,
I mean,
everybody-
at
yeah,
this point,
everybody's name's been dropped.
everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Come on, Johnny's not falling for that.
Yeah, exactly. We arrive at the mission, and it is the Jack in the Box mission. Now, I'm going to point out something here. We've got a detective listener, someone with an excellent eagle eye, Zach on YouTube, pointed something out based on the preview at the end of episode 8, where we saw a little hint at this mission and just a couple of quick shots. So Zach said this on YouTube last week. From the preview, so partial spoilers ahead, not spoilers now because we've seen the episode, it shows the next mission being the boxes, which we've seen in the UK. We know that each player will have a box, and then there's one box in the middle that's going to show the answer. There are 9 boxes around, and after the episode 8 banishment, 10 players are left. This would mean only one person leaves. From international seasons, when this type of blackmail fails, the faithful's murdered and the traitor tries again. After that, they still commit a separate murder. This means if Eric rejects, there should be 2 murders that night. Therefore, he does accept. So, well done, Zach. You noticed it was by counting the boxes, it was probably quite obvious Eric was going to accept the recruitment. So, well done, Zach. Good spotting there. Maybe an example of editors including a little spoiler by accident in the preview. Zach
Yeah, I
noticed
mean,
it,
I don't
guys.
think I don't think there were many people who counted the boxes to determine. So
No,
I
just
also
Zach.
don't think, despite the fact that yes, I did have some people argue with me on social media, which I know never happens. But I did have some people say, "Oh, he's definitely going to turn it down." No, he's not. No, just stop it. He's not.
No.
It was not a real cliffhanger. Stop. So
Yes. So the rules of the mission, the game is based on predicting the traitors' answers to a series of questions about the players themselves. However, the traitors haven't decided on their answers yet. Everyone's going to hide inside a box, and then the traitors will sneak out of the boxes right here, discuss their answers, tell them to Alan, and then go back inside the boxes. Pretend nothing happened. There is $18,000, I think, potentially up for grabs. $5,000 for each correct match. I'll run through the questions and the answers.
500.
So, what did I say? 5,000. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
500. Yes, sorry. It's the dollar side. It threw me off. It threw my brain into disarray. Question 1: Who do the traitors think is most useful?
Well,
Eric,
before
of
that, I
course.
do want to point out. Sorry, I do want to point out. Rob specifically says, "Oh, I feel like we can get some clues here." And then, as we'll find out, he goes out of his. So he brings it up to everyone, and then goes out of his way to make sure they can.
Yeah,
So
of course. Rob,
To me, generally, I think that Rob is like a good actor. Like he's a good liar. When he
Yeah.
said that, we can get some clues here. I started to think, are you doing too much by Rob standards? Are you kind of like overdoing the, I'm a good faithful who really cares about the outcome here? And I was hoping someone would pick up on it. Alas, it was not to be. And I also, at this point, do want to mention that Rob meowing was hotter to me than 8 seasons of heated rivalry. That's just me. And I assume the rest of America.
I was like, typing my notes, listing, and then suddenly Rob is meowing, and I was like, oh, that will become a meme, a GIF. Like
It
someone is
already is.
putting that
It
up.
already is a meme. I've already seen a meme. Someone put it together. They changed the first words. It said something like "meow if you're a traitor," and then meow or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but yes, his cat-like moves.
Yeah. There are another. I know I've already said I think Rob's a great traitor and is playing the game really well. There are one or two other things really specifically in this episode he does that I think are very effective, like really, really smart of him, that we'll come to. So yes, this first question is who did the traitors think is most useful? Of course, Eric is like, oh, I have to come out of the box. What if they hear me? Like it's not been set up so that they are never going to be caught. Like, no, they're not allowed to just open the lids and peek out. Like, it's fine, Eric. Don't. I mean, be
the other
careful.
thing is,
don't shout, but.
Yeah, I mean, they have the possibility, they could accidentally drop the lid or something like that. But let's face it. And I even saw, I won't call out who it was, but one of the former players in chat BCC saying, oh my God, those boxes are so squeaky. How are they going to do that? I'm like, the squeaks were added in post-production. This is
obviously right.
So
because
obvious.
They
to
sounded
me.
the same every time.
Yeah.
I feel like the sound
It's
mixers weren't even, or the sound designers weren't even really trying on that one. They were just copy pasting those squeaks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no way they are giving them hinges that sound like that in this mission. Yeah. And then Eric's like, my shoes make noise. And yeah, okay, if he jumps onto the wood, they probably would. But my thing was like, okay, then take them off, first of all. But also just, even the clomping noises that we heard. And you know this because when they get out, they're whispering to each other in front of all the boxes. There is no way that they believe that, this can be heard. Now, I saw someone on social media point out in the UK, they had a drummer to further muffle the noise. But I wonder if, and again, this was done first. So I wonder if they chose to add that or, why they chose to add it. But to me, the drummer would just make it harder for the two traitors to talk. Yeah,
right.
Still drumming going on.
I'd be like, shh.
Yeah,
stop it. Yeah, it would be. It would be really funny to see like Eric falls out of the box and goes "ow" really loudly.
Yeah. I mean, and that is something that could happen. There is a legitimate chance that yes, one of them could trip down the stairs, one of them could accidentally slip, and their box lid would fall, and this would become a topic of conversation. I think that's why this is included. It is possible that this could happen. You could have someone like Eric saying, I have a golden ear and I know for sure that I heard movement on the box next to mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's possible.
It also could be really funny if after Eric's terrible, I heard someone laughing in the woods and it was definitely Tiffany thing, he could use that again and be like, guys, I heard it was Rob. I heard Rob's voice. I recognized it. And they'd all just be like, well, that's clearly wrong and Rob's not a traitor. Use your mistake, Eric. So they sneak out. They decide they want to throw the players off by not giving anything obvious away with any of the choices they make. They make their decision back in the boxes. The answer that the traitors choose is well. This I thought, oh, Tara. Okay, interesting choice for the first question. And then on it goes. The players' answers are totally mixed. Eric does put Tara down as his pretend answer. Rob fake answers Johnny, which I thought was smart because Alan asks him, why did you pick Johnny? And he says, well, Johnny's got heat on him, but then maybe he's not a traitor, and the traitors are using that as a diversion. And and that's exactly what is happening, but
right.
I thought Rob is not acting dumb. Like he's actually acting like a faithful who's clever would act. Like he's acting like he really is trying to figure things out. So I just thought that was a smart play. And
But what wasn't smart, I have to get this in there because it comes up a couple more times, is we do have a clip of Steven. So as the traitors are deciding on their answer, Steven's like, well, I hope they will just want to be straightforward so we can get the cash. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, Steven. And then a couple more clips will come up about this exact topic.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had a couple of notes on the idea of the money and whether or not it's important. Like Maura mentions it too. She's yeah, and after the next question, she's like, "Do the traders not want the money?" And I'm like, "No, Maura, they
No.
don't. Like, wake up." And that second question is, who do the traders think is most manipulative? I don't even from here on in, they just choose Tara every time.
Yeah.
Rob is telling us, yeah, they don't care about the money. They just want to confuse the players. Like, there's shitloads of money in the prize fund already. They'll add more next time. It doesn't really matter much in this mission. 6 players choose Natalie as their answer to this question. And yeah,
And
Tara
obviously
says, well,
nobody picks Tara because her manipulative, really?
right, yeah, exactly. And the next question is, who do the traitors think doesn't deserve a place in the final? And at this point, I thought, right, if I'm a faithful, just pick Tara. Like, that's, like, I thought it was kind of obvious now. That's what they were doing. Just pick Tara every time. And 5 players choose Mora, which really made me laugh. And Kristen tells us Tara's either so blasé that, like, that's why she's been chosen by the traitors, or she's a traitor and she's trying to throw us off.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, you're overthinking it, Kristen. Yeah. Way overthinking it. Now, one minor point, I do notice that the question is, who do the traders think doesn't deserve a place in the final? Now, this is the way the British refer to the finale.
Right.
But in the U.S., we just call it the finale. Like, I have never heard anyone in the U.S. call it the final unless there's a number, like the final 4 or the final 5. So I was like, what, were they so cheap that they just wanted to make one placard for both US and UK? Or did someone from UK, because we know their production overlaps, were they in charge of making it? And they made it thinking, oh, final. Yeah, that's what it is. And someone was like, we're not going to bother to add the E, whatever. They'll know what it means.
Yeah, probably. I didn't realize like that you guys wouldn't say it like that. So yeah, interesting. Maybe they just thought, well, Alan is British and he has to say it. He has to say it in character as he would deliver it. Next question is, who do the traitors think would make the best traitor? And this time, it seems like everyone they're like, okay, let's just vote Tara. Let's just get some money. The traitors choose Tara again, but Johnny and Tara didn't get the memo. They just decide to do their own thing. Johnny chooses Mark, and Tara chooses Rob. Of course, the others are like, why didn't they go along with what we just said we were going to do? So probably a bad move. I realized at that point. And by the end of the mission,
ironic.
Exactly. I know, right? And they've only made, I say only, they've made $5,500. I'm saying only because they could have had 18,000.
Right, and this is where Steven again says he shows he's clueless about this again and says, "Well, I don't care if you're a faithful or a traitor. We need more money."
Yeah.
Yes, you need more money, but you know what? You don't win anything if you get, say, I don't know, banished at the end of the episode. Or
Right, exactly.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yes. Alan reveals a little bit of a twist, though, which he had alluded to at the end of the previous episode, I think, that he says there's a final question. The question is, who do the traitors want to shortlist for murder tonight? They are going to draw up their murder shortlist now, and the players they choose will be locked in their box. And Alan points out the traitors, of course, can put their own names on that list, so they all get back in. Rob tells Eric, again wisely, I think, we shouldn't put our own names on this list. We're still in that phase of this game where players always assume anytime there's a short list of some sort, the traitors they're going to put one of themselves on it. So Rob knows that. He's like, let's just avoid it. Like, no one's moved past that yet, so we won't. I did, I wondered if they might put Eric on it because everybody sees him as an obvious faithful up until this point, but they decide not to do it.
Yeah, better to put 4 people under suspicion. This is something we've talked about as this year has gone on. Well, this year, it's only February, but this year of the traitors, I guess, is we're at 3rd level thinking now with Rob. and most of the faithful are still at second level thinking. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens like next season. Do some of them realize this, both in US and UK, and be like, oh, wait, they would want us to think they won't have someone on, so now they will put someone on, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I think that at this point, Rob is probably hip to the idea that Eric can't handle much. And to me, I think that is why they went for this straightforward approach of sabotaging the game and just choosing Tara a lot, because I'm like,
yeah,
I could just see the cogs turning in Rob's mind real time. Like, I don't want to keep whispering with this guy because he's going to fuck it up. And so if they had put Eric in one of those boxes, he just would have popped out and said, okay, I give up. I'm the traitor. So I think he's adapting and realizing that his ally, can only handle so much.
I was wondering if they could just tell Alan, like sometimes in a football game, they'll, the coach will want to wait to call a timeout till there's 3 seconds left and then kick a field goal. And so the coach will just go to the ref and say, call a timeout when there's 3 seconds left. I was wondering, could the two of them have just gone to Alan and be like, we're not going to get in and out of the boxes anymore. Just throw Tara's name in there for us, okay?
Yeah, they should just save time. Just put Tara. It's fine.
Yeah.
And so Alan does a countdown. Players, open your boxes in 3, 2, 1. And it turns out that Johnny, Tara, Natalie, and Kristen are on the shortlist. They're locked in. They can't open. And yeah, I thought this was smart. Rob knows people are already looking at Johnny, and now after this mission, they're going to be looking at Tara. Why not just throw some more fuel on those fires?
Yeah.
Some of the players head off. Of course, those 4 are stuck in the boxes for a while. In the cars, it works straight away. Straight away, Maura's like, well, I'm convinced Johnny's a traitor after that mission. And I didn't think it was Tara, but no, I'm not so sure. So Rob's just like, exactly what I wanted. And he takes this chance to suggest maybe Johnny and Tara are traitors working together, or at least one of them's a traitor and they've got something going on. We do go back to the 4 players still in the boxes. Tara's telling the others, oh yeah, of course I knew I was going to be locked in after that mission. They come back in their car, and Natalie says, surprising to me actually, she says, I thought she was faking it, but she isn't. She says, well, I don't think any of you are traitors. And
yeah,
she's picked up on, her reasoning is that Johnny seems quite downbeat and defeated and resigned to his fate. She doesn't think that's how a traitor would behave. So actually her focus is shifted to Stephen, who's gone off back to the castle. And back at the castle, Johnny and Tara walk in. Like, they've just given up hiding at this point. So they're arm in arm, they're coming along the corridor. The others clock it instantly. They're like, that's really weird the way they're behaving together. And Mark says, I knew they know each other, but I didn't think they were that close.
Yeah.
And Natalie gathers Rob, Kristen, and Mark in the bar. She thinks she's going to be murdered tonight, so she wants to get things off her chest, get her theory out there. She suspects Stephen because of the way he behaved this morning, because of Lisa and the gold rocks back at that mission a couple of episodes ago. And Rob goes straight into, again, like strategy mode. He's like, well, this could be really useful. I was going to focus on Johnny, but maybe I should jump. He says he'll jump on this bandwagon, get Stephen out. He'll come back to Johnny next time anyway. So he's kind of like, why don't I just, extend Johnny's time a lot? But it's inevitable. He's gonna go. So I thought that was smart too. And
now the interesting thing is the number of different people in this episode alone who pull Rob aside and say, you're the only ones I trust 100%. Natalie did it. Maura did it. Kristen did it. Mark has done it. Like, he is exactly what we thought. We have had hints of this. Like Candace saying everybody wanted to drink his bathwater, which I know, Matthew, you like the image that I made for my video on that. But we're seeing it now. We're truly seeing it. And there has been debate online about, is Rob really that good? Is Rob really that good? At this moment, yes, Rob really is that good. And yes, some of it is the others are bad. But, it's he has gotten the 100% trust from so many different people. He is getting all the information, which goes back to something I said last week, both here and in my videos, which is I think as soon as Candace started dropping little seeds, because she was planning to go slowly, as soon as she dropped the first seeds, someone ran right back to Rob and said, Candace is mentioning your name. She's coming after you, which was how he knew to switch it on and go fast at her rather than worrying about going slow like she was. He just has everyone in the castle believing him truly, except for maybe Johnny and Tara. Those might be the only two who don't, because they have each other.
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
ironic for someone with serpent tattoos on them.
Yes.
To be like like he's the Slytherin, he's got the tattoo, but yeah, they fall in.
I mean, I think it's a both and. I think everyone is stigmatized by him. I think that everybody wants to get thrown by him, right? Everybody wants to drink the bathwater, as you're saying. And he's playing a really brilliant Goldilocks game where he's not this traitor hunter, even though he says he's a traitor hunter to Eric. He's not conducting himself like a Colton or like a Peter, right? He's just echoing and mirroring what everybody else is already saying. And then the fact that this is celebrity traitors, and I think unconsciously or otherwise, people are thinking, well, the other traitor has got to be a gamer. Maybe they picked 3 housewives. And so I think the fact that he's like from a dating show also helps him. They kind of just, he codes in people's brain as like, oh, he's one of the filler players. He's the like, you know, an NPC. And so he's been dealt the best hand, and he's making really good use out of it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed,
And
agreed.
you know, and we heard as far back as when Rob Sesternino left, he talked about how people did not clock him, you know, Rob R as playing the game. And that's why, like, when Rob Sesternino was, you know, looking for a murder in plain sight and saw him playing chess with Lisa, it wasn't out of the ordinary because, you know, we saw later Rob was playing chess with Ron, and that Rob was playing chess a lot, and it made it look like he wasn't playing this game a lot. And so I think gradually he's obviously shown that he's playing, but they still have that in their head that no, he's not a gamer type. He just lays things out logically.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And we are almost at the round table, but just before that, we do have the moment of Johnny and Tara deciding to change their tactic. They reckon, I mean, CG, you mentioned this earlier, they feel like they are going out of the game anyway. Their death or their banishment is imminent, so they may as
When
well.
they were like canoodling on the couch, you know what it reminded me
Yes.
of? It reminded me of that elderly couple in Titanic when they're like canoodling on the bed and they're like, this is it. We've had a great life together. It's time to hit that iceberg. That's what it felt like. And I'm like, you guys, it's not over yet. You can do
Yes.
something. And to their credit, in their own way, they do, which we'll get to.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I don't know what my thoughts are on these. I don't know if their tactic is the best one. Like, they decide, we'll just tell everyone that we're like best friends and we trust each other no matter what. And I think it's very sweet, and like they seem nice and I like them, but I don't know if, like you said, it's not over yet. Like, you don't have to do this. Like,
But in a way, they might be failing up. They might be playing like
Yes.
this game of chaos. David, just because I know you watch Survivor, like it was kind of reminding me of like Q, where he's
As soon as you said
he's-
chaos, I was like, oh, I know where he's going with this.
right? Like sometimes people just like play intuitively and emotionally, and it works out. And so I had this vision when I was in the shower this morning. I was like, oh my God, but if it somehow ends up being Rob, Johnny, and Tara at the very end, Rob is fucked. So just think on
Yes.
that. This could work out for them. It's not likely, but it could work out for them.
Yeah, I actually have something about that in my final thoughts too, because I was thinking the same way. I do wonder if this conversation happened before the mission, actually, and that's why they walked in arm in arm, or if it was just a gradual thing, like they had already basically decided it, and here they just voiced it. But I also want to mention, just before we see this, Kristen says to whoever it was, Rob, Mark, I think, no matter what, I'm voting Tara. And it's like, well, that's just not smart. You know, I mean, we've talked about this so many times before. Like, you're going to waste your vote. Why would you do that? I understand you want to vote Tara. It's just not good gameplay.
Right. And so it is time for the round table. And coming in, Eric is obviously very nervous. It's his first round table as a traitor, like we've said. But I compared him to Alan Carr earlier. Actually, now I don't want to do a spoiler. It's reminding me very much of another British player we've seen recently. Like, I think if you know, you know, just constantly nervous, just always anxious every time they speak in confessional, just like, oh, this is gonna go badly. So very much reminding me of that person. And we also have Johnny coming in telling us he's competitive, he wants to win, he's gonna try and save himself and Tara. He wants both of them to make it through this. Alan does his usual. I've not even mentioned Alan's now he's got like blue bits in his hair as well.
Some people pointed out it's the colors of the trans flag.
The trans flag, I thought it was really sweet. Yeah, because it's blue and pink.
I didn't even see the pink. Okay, so that's what's going on. There we go. Also, very sort of this 80s kind of new romantic. A bit of sci-fi. I can't analyze Alan's looks anymore.
I just wonder how his hair is still there. They redo it every single day. That must be hell on his hair. Even if it's only I mean, I'm no expert on hair, obviously, but even if it's only temporary dye and stuff, just that's got to be harsh on his hair to change the colors, change the whatever they're doing with it. I mean, he's gonna look like me by the end of the season.
He's committed to his role. He's doing it for his art.
Yes. I do want to mention, you talked about Eric being nervous. Sorry, completely change the topic. One thing he says, which does come back later, is I'm just to avoid saying the wrong thing, I'm not going to say anything unless I need to.
Yeah, which will come back to bite him.
Right.
So the discussion begins with Tara, and she feels that she and Johnny have info to bring. I think she talks a bit about how close they are and promises that they are both faithful. And Mora says, well, how can you know that? And Tara, her response is just to go, oh.
Oh, well,
she never considered that.
Right. You know what, Tara? Never be a lawyer. Keep figure skating. Never be a lawyer.
That really made me laugh. Oh,
so out of the gate, the argument kind of fizzles.
Yeah, and then Johnny reveals they've worked together for over a decade, but more than that, they are besties. They rely on each other for everything. And Mark says, "Well, he's a dancer. He's like, I work with partners all the time too, but in a game like this, that doesn't mean I flat out trust them no matter what." So I thought, he's able to separate the game and friendship, but Johnny's just like, no way, we're best friends. We trust each other blindly. And I kind of get the idea that I know her so well, I would know if she was lying, but that's not really what he's saying. He's just like, no way, can't believe it. I
think later they circle to that somehow, or else someone else says it for them. I think like, oh, what you're saying is does a better job of presenting the argument than they do. But yeah, it's basically. But the thing is, like, again, logic. One, okay, maybe you both would know each other that well, but if you did, would you turn on your bestie, or would you lie for them to us, or would you flip against them? And two, okay, maybe you're both traitors then.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the problem. So, which is worse? It's like you're almost kind of saying, Oh, you're so close. You don't have any secrets from each other. Is that because you're both traitors then, and we should just get rid of both of you? So,
Yeah, to
John.
me, it would, if I were sitting at that round table, I would think the odds are one of you is a traitor, right?
Hmm.
Because the reason I would think that is because if you're telling me you're so close and you're not separating your emotions from this game, then if one of you is the traitor, then you can easily influence the other one. You are telling
Yeah,
us that. So the only reason that we know that's not the truth is because we know that's not the
Yeah.
truth. Like, we know they're both faithfuls, but the way they're presenting the evidence, I would just go with the odds and say one of you's got to be guilty.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. And Johnny's sort of way out of it is to name who he suspects, and that is Stephen. He thinks that again that Stephen and Candace must have been traitors together. They were working together, and he thinks that Stephen has this wall built up. Kristen then comes. I mean, I think Stephen briefly defends himself before Kristen comes for
Hmm.
Tara and says, something strange has happened. I told you just today that you were my number one suspect, which I had never said before, and then I end up on the murder shortlist. That's kind of a coincidence, basically. Like that, there's something going on here. I'm joining the dots. Mark asks Johnny about the way that Candace was pushing for him to be in the gallery yesterday and saying, "Oh, Johnny needs a shield."
Hmm.
And to be fair to Johnny, he's not responsible for what Candace said, so it's difficult for him to defend her actions. That's not his fault. And he says
So
that he's like, well, I don't know how to defend myself other than, yeah, do you know what? I was close to her and we're friends, so I probably would have told her anything that happened in the gallery, but that's not because he says just because I've played the game poorly doesn't mean I'm a traitor.
yes,
Which
that's yeah, and yeah, he says, I don't have to prove it. I'm a faithful, and I'm like, oh no, you do have to prove it first of all. But yes, the part about I just because I play the game poorly doesn't make me a traitor. It's like, yeah, that's very similar to an argument that Colton used previously. Just because I'm not playing like a traitor, I'm playing bold and brash, which I summarized as poorly. He did not, but I did. And so, yeah, a lot of people are in this episode getting implicated for things others did. Candace pulls Stephen aside. Up. Stephen must be a traitor. Candace wants Johnny to go into the museum. Up. Johnny must be a traitor. Lisa gave the rocks to
yeah,
Stephen. Up. Stephen must be a traitor. It's like these are things. I mean, I guess technically Stephen could have controlled the Lisa thing because he did ask, but he didn't know. So it's just there's a lot of people being implicated for things that they had no control of.
yeah. And that is the very next thing that comes up.
Right.
Natalie reiterates her doubts about Stephen
Yes.
for that reason with the
Mhm.
gold. And yeah, Stephen, he said it last time. He says it again. Well, look, I wanted the dagger. The more gold you have, so I just asked. I didn't know she was a
Hmm.
traitor. And
And
Natalie
yet,
also
I
says,
thought that
sorry, yeah.
Stephen was behaving like a liar so much so
Yes.
that for a microsecond, I was like, is he a traitor? For a
Yes.
microsecond. Right.
Because he
So
did.
he was pretty bad. Yeah.
He was. He did the classic cliche deflection move. Well, now I think you're a traitor,
Mm,
Natalie. It's like, oh, that's so bad. That is the worst thing you can do because everybody's going to look at you and go, which a lot of them did, and go like, really strange how all you're doing is trying to deflect it back. They saw it with Lisa and Colton.
yeah.
Lisa, I'm a faithful. You're a traitor. And guess what? Lisa was a traitor. So it's just so cliche that Stephen, oh, that was just bad.
Yeah. And even if you do think that, even if you are a faithful and
Right.
you wonder, why is this person attacking me? Oh, maybe they are a traitor. I think experience might tell you to not rely on that in that moment, like because of how it will look to the others. And yeah, Natalie also mentions that Stephen, again, the way he behaved at breakfast, she thought was odd. She didn't believe it. It wasn't reading as genuine to her. And the discussion pretty much ends here again. It felt a little bit like in the last episode we said that it felt like the discussion was very short. I don't know, maybe
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my experience of it. I felt like this was kind of brief as well. I thought there was going to be more to it.
Hmm.
Uh, Alan reminds them of the double volt dagger, which I keep forgetting about, and asks if the person who has it wants to use it tonight, and
I
makes
do
it
like
clear
that it's
that
actually sticking in a table off to the
yeah,
side, So I guess
right,
maybe if you want to use it, you get to go up and grab it, and
yeah,
I don't
like
think they'd let you stab it down into the table, the round table itself, but they should. They should.
yeah, they should make it like the sword in the stone, like Excalibur, like only the person who has been awarded the dagger can pull it from this table. But Rob, he's not going to use it. Oh, Alan also reminds them that it's tomorrow's the last time that he will be able to use it.
Right.
And
Hmm.
there's this interesting moment because Natalie, not everybody knows
Yes.
that Rob has it, and Natalie loudly just says, "Just tell them you have it." Like, well, it's too late now. You can't say no. Like they all just
Well, I
heard
don't
you
know.
say
She must.
that.
She must. I didn't look at the placement. I don't remember who's next. Well, I guess I can look at when they voted. Let's see here. So Natalie votes and then Rob votes. So they must be next to each other.
Yeah, they are. They're
So
sitting
I
next
Mhm.
to.
think the volume is amped up
Mhm.
for us because she says it and then he kind of like whispers, "I have it." And
Yeah,
we see looks from like Mora, and I don't know if he actually said it loud enough for people to hear or not. I still don't know. Even after watching the episode, he says, well, it's fine that people know because it makes him look better and more people are likely to go with him, but he doesn't say it
yeah, it was
outwardly.
weird.
Mhm.
So I
It-
still don't know if everybody knows he has it.
yeah,
I also don't
my
buy that this is like a actually good advantage to have. I've never seen it played in
yeah,
any other version, if it's been in any other version.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the fact that you have to use it publicly is it just would put a target on your back, right?
mm,
If you decide to use it, if Rob stands up and says, "Okay, well the votes were going my way, I." Let's say everybody was voting for Rob, then he decides to use the dagger to save himself. That only gets him to the next roundtable, and then everyone's going to say, "Well, why did you do that? Why did you influence the vote to make it something that it wasn't going to be naturally? You must be a traitor." So the fact that it has to be of public usage, uh, to me, limits how much of an advantage it is. And I think that he's using it great as having the illusion of an advantage. I think he's absolutely right to say, well,
Yeah.
if people know that I have it, then that makes me more powerful than if I actually played it.
Yeah, and that's a good summary, I think, of our opinion of it too. The knowledge of the dagger is more important. Like we have seen in another recent season, the person who had the dagger kind of like people were afraid to vote not the way they wanted to because, oh, the vote's going to go the way the dagger person wants anyway, so we might as well vote with them. So I don't know that a dagger has, I mean, I'm sure in some season somewhere, but I don't know that any season we've seen necessarily a dagger has been like, oh, that was the one vote they needed. But sometimes it's because, well, it influenced people to vote a certain way.
right,
And the thing is, Rob doesn't need it anyway. It would not surprise me if he doesn't even bother to use it next week.
yeah,
Yeah.
That he might just, I don't need it. Or he might just to not seem like he's so overconfident that he won't use it. But it's kind of like an immunity idol that you make it to the end with in Survivor. Like, oh, look, I didn't even need to use, I played the game so well, I didn't even need to use this.
Yep.
Of course, you're not trying to get jury votes here. So the he would win if he had to get jury votes. But he may win anyway. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Now, the one thing I will say is that we have seen, and even in this season, we've seen that sometimes 1 week is all you need. One day, I guess, is all you need if you can convince people. But yeah, if the dagger happened to be the one vote that was the only thing that saved you, that's going to be a tough one. Then again, if you get rid of someone who was voting against you, now you've kind of brought it down to a tie, so that changes things too.
yeah. We actually have a listener, at least one listener question about the dagger and ways that you
Mhm.
might use it. So again, we'll address that in the bonus episode. We're going to talk about all of our listener questions. But yeah, something you said there, CJ, I'll come back to because it links to this question we've been asked. So Rob doesn't use it, and so the votes go ahead. Tara begins and votes for Stephen, which we
Well,
thought she would do.
first, did you notice Rob trying to motion with his eyes to Eric that he should vote Stephen?
Oh no, I missed this. No.
Okay, because he said beforehand, before roundtable, he said, I haven't had a chance to talk to Eric. I'll just have to like give him an eye look.
Yeah,
And then
I heard
they
him say
show
that.
him doing essentially that. But of course,
Okay.
it could be just if they wanted to surprise us, it could have ended up that he was motioning towards someone else. But no, it really was, towards
Okay.
Stephen.
Okay. No, I missed that one. So yes, Tara vote goes for Stephen. Stephen then votes for Johnny. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think this is who it's between. I don't think there are
Yeah.
going to be any other rogue votes
Well,
apart from Tara, and even at that, it's
Yeah.
not that rogue.
mhm.
Mora votes for Johnny and says, I think it's good feeling." Like, I just love after all of the theories, all of the sort of pieces of evidence people are putting forward, all the lines of argument, to just go, well, I'm just going with my gut. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not relying on anything. Like, okay, she's not the only one who says it, by the way. I think Eric does it as well. He's next and says he sort of admits
Yes.
weirdly, like, well, I just wanted to see where the room was going. Like, he doesn't say, like, here's who I think and here's the reason I'm voting for them. He's like, well, I just followed what everyone
This
else was doing. And he votes for Stephen.
This is so
Which,
bad. To admit
Chris-
this is so bad.
yeah.
I might have something later about this, but yeah, it's like, no. Yeah. Do you want to vote with the group? Yes. Do you want to admit that you're just voting with the group? No.
Yeah. And Kristen later obviously picks up on it and
Yeah.
he tries to explain his way out of it. Johnny is next and votes for Stephen, of course. And then Kristen votes for Tara, which, it doesn't really surprise me. She did tell her today, you're my new number one suspect. And then she did bring it up at the round table.
I mean, she told us, or she told not us, she told someone else, I think Rob and maybe Mark, oh, I am definitely voting for Tara no matter what. No, that's dumb. I said it before, I'll say it again. It's dumb.
Yeah, so she hasn't been swayed by anything, even the fact that it seems unlikely many other people are going to vote for her, although one other person does. Natalie is next, votes for Stephen. Yep, of course. And there are only two people left. The next two people would need to vote for Johnny to make it at least a tie. However, it's Rob who's next, and you kind of knew where it was going. He says that he came in with Johnny in mind, but Natalie very cleverly makes it Natalie's fault.
Right.
And says, oh, she swayed me, and he votes for Stephen, which means that Stephen will be banished. But we see Mark's final vote anyway. Interestingly, he was going to vote for Tara, or did vote for Tara as well, and says,
because
Johnny persuaded me not to vote for him, so I went for Tara instead. Okay.
It's like, do you think it's one thing, and this is not a slight, well, I guess it is a slight against Tara. It's one thing to believe Johnny is the traitor and is controlling Tara. It's a whole different ball game to think Tara is the mastermind and controlling Johnny.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I couldn't quite. I guess it's just Mark. I guess he's close to Stephen, and he just is like, well, I can't vote for him. I don't think it's you now, Johnny. The only other obvious person to go for is Tara, so he just does it. But yeah, and this, it's probably obvious by now. This is where it struck me how Rob has completely escaped any fallout from Candace's throwaway vote. You know, at the end of episode 8, David, you and I on the podcast were saying, well, probably Rob's going to face a bit of heat now. I'm sure people are going to question this. But like you said earlier, Maura dismissed it at breakfast. Like, CJ, you called her Detective Maura. Like, she was just like, nah, it's not you. That's not why Candace. And since then, everyone's just been like, oh well, nah, no question, no further questions. Like,
yeah,
I'm just
at the top of this episode, I really thought that he was not going to win the season. I thought it was
Yeah.
Same.
only a matter of time, and it was
Same.
totally inevitable. And now
I
I
mean, yeah.
absolutely think he's going to win the season.
Yeah, I mean, I posted a video yesterday morning saying, nope, I don't think he can win. And now I'm still a little iffy. I think I have final thoughts about that. So we'll wait.
Yeah. So Stephen gives a speech, says it's, it's been the opportunity of a lifetime and so on. He was eager to play the game, and maybe that eagerness got the better of him, and tells them, I am a faithful, and you blew it. And off
I
he
like this.
goes.
I like this that he allowed some of his anger to show because you could tell he was mad. Like you
Yeah.
people are dummies, and like so. I like that there was emotion there instead of just being like, "Oh, you got the wrong person." I'm a faithful, and you blew it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's their fault. Look what you've done.
Yeah,
And as he leaves, we hear Mora say, "Well done for the chaos." I think it's directed towards Natalie. I assumed it was sort of like,
I
well,
think just
Natalie,
in general.
you
I
okay,
I
okay,
don't know. And
or
then
anyone
later,
who
as they're
voted for her.
and then later as they're leaving, she says, "What a shit show." I
Yeah.
wish I could do her accent for it, but I can't.
What a shit show. That was terrible. Alan reminds them, of course, that either Kristen, Natalie, Johnny, or Tara will be murdered. I'm guessing at this point, no way are like Tara and Johnny have nothing to worry about now. Surely, like they've got enough heat. The traitors, I
Mm-hmm.
surely want to keep them around.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I thought, oh well, right, Kristen's gonna go. Natalie looks like she framed Steven tonight, so she's gonna get heat. But actually, that changes then, of course, because of what
Yeah.
happens in the next 5 minutes. So they leave the room. Natalie is apologizing to Rob and Eric, which is hilarious because they're the two traitors. And Rob says that Johnny and Tara revealing their besties for the resties was so dumb. Everyone will just think they're traitors together. And I thought, yeah, probably. Cut to cut to Johnny and Tara. They're cuddled up on the couch again, and in the kitchen, Maura, Eric, and Kristen talk about how things we just keep getting deflected. We keep getting thrown off the track. Kristen then comes at Eric and says,
Now,
"You never." Yeah, yeah.
sorry, before you get to that, I do find it funny that Mora is saying this about, oh, we're getting thrown up because it was Candace who kept saying, oh, we're getting thrown off track. Stay on target. Stay on target. Like she was Obi-Wan's or not Obi-Wan's, the Red Leader's voice in Luke's head. Stay on target. Like the or not his head, his earpiece, whoever. But sorry, I'm messing up Star Wars. We'll get all sorts of comments. But the point is, Candace was the one who kept doing it, but she was saying it at the time because as a way to stop the people who were aiming at herself and Lisa.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so it's like, I think Maura forgot who it was that was mostly pushing this, we have to stay on target thing. You have to avoid the chaos because you really shouldn't be echoing what the known traitor said.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, Kristen talks to Eric in front of the others and asks him, "Why do you don't say enough at the round table, specifically tonight? Whenever you're questioned about who you suspect, you just act confused and clueless." And she's saying, this is getting suspicious now. And he insists he's just thrown by all the different conflicting arguments. He comes in with one name and then someone says something that changes his mind and so on. And Kristen says, well, eventually you're going to have your own opinion that you come in with and that you voice. And another moment of Eric at his confessional, he just is a bit like Tara earlier. He like can't fathom that someone might think he's a traitor. He's like, imagine she turned round and she said she thought I was a traitor. That would be awful. Like it's just like crazy to him. And again, Kristen in her confessional is like, yeah, something's up. Like Eric is behaving very strangely. And then goes to Mark and Rob and tells them she doesn't trust Eric. And says if I'm does the class I should play
Mm-hmm.
I should, you know what, I'm gonna cue it up. It's here we go.
Cliche klaxon.
The cliche klaxon rings. She says, if I murdered tomorrow, insert name of person you should look at. In this case, it's
Yes.
Eric. So Rob is in just a great position again. He's got this wonderful information. He can choose how to play it. He could either go ahead and double cross Eric and murder Kristen, land the blame on Eric, or he could tell Eric what's going on, keep Kristen around, and we move to the turret shortly after this, and to find out what he's gonna do. Eric comes in going, it's just like, bro, that was awful. And Rob does tell him the truth. He's like, Eric says, "Oh yeah, Kristen was really giving me a hard time." And Rob says, "Yeah, she talked to me and Mark about you. She suspects you now." So they run through their options. Right, Johnny, would it point to Tara as a double bluff? Like, could we pretend that she's the traitor and she did that because no one would think she would do that? I don't think anyone would buy that of Tara, sorry. And then they talk about Tara saying, well, that wouldn't make any sense. Now she's got some heat on her. She had a couple of votes tonight. Or could do the opposite, the same thing with Johnny. Maybe it would throw heat on Johnny and it would be a kind of double bluff that he might be pulling as a traitor. They move on to Natalie and say, well, she trusts Rob, but she's very smart and articulate, so at some point they probably do have to get rid of her. And then they come to Kristen. Well, murdering her would put more heat on Eric after what she said tonight, particularly with Mark, who was in the room to hear that. Alan also reveals that tonight's murder victim will meet their end in a wicked way. It's very sort of the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem, and cut to the shortlisted murder victims receiving their letters. They have to head to the castle dungeon immediately. They'll find a jack in the box. They'll have to wind it up. If a traitor jumps out, they've been murdered. It's it's a bit gimmicky. It's fun, I guess. It's a different way of doing it. Okay, I don't mind. We see each of the four players, of course. Lots of we cutting between different shots of them turning the handles of the jack in the boxes.
I think it's funny that he says they will be woken up, and I suspect this goes back to a conversation we previously had where no, they're just all held in the castle. There's no way that they're taking the time to send them back to the hotel, let them start to go to sleep, and then waking them and then trucking them back 40 minutes to do this. So yeah, I think they're being held in the castle until it's time, and that's when these four get sent down there.
Yeah. I mean, I would love it if they did bring them back, like, in their PJs and their hair's all crazy, and they're just like,
all the makeup's off of them.
Yeah. They're like their night masks, their face masks on.
Yeah. Somebody's been taking a bubble bath.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got all the voiceovers of their worries, their anxieties. What's going to happen? And then a series of reaction shots and no ways. A traitor doll bounces out of one of the boxes. The episode ends. So, I mean, it's probably obvious now what I predict is gonna. I think they will murder Natalie. I think they will keep Kristen around.
Interesting.
To keep deliberate heat on Eric. Oh, you think they're just going to go for Kristen?
I think they have. If I were Rob, because Rob is obviously controlling this, Eric has no real say here. I would absolutely murder Kristen because, one, I know that Eric can't handle it. Even he was like, oh, yeah, if we, I can totally lie. No, you can't. We've seen this. So our best bet is for us to murder Kristen. Any heat that then gets on Eric, he could just say, like, oh, I was framed. And then Natalie, they'll just save for next time. So I think it's a Kristen murder for sure.
Yeah, I agree completely with everything you said. Plus, the only other person who heard what Kristen said, was Mark, who is very firmly in Rob's back pocket. And and Rob can play it off like, a traitor must have found out and be framing Eric, and I know they discussed letting her live and working on her together to convince her otherwise. I don't think that'll work. I mean, look at her this week. She went for Tara, even though she knew that almost no one else would probably be voting for Tara. She is single-minded, and she can just keep pointing the finger. And this is something, that I brought up back when Lisa decided not to murder Colton in plain sight. That, or in cold blood. Yes, she said, well, I don't want to because it'll be too obvious. Yes, but when you don't murder the obvious person and they're the kind of strong-willed person, they will keep coming at you. It is better in general, if you have someone coming at you that hard, that forcefully, take them out, and you will have one less person voting for you, one less person pushing the discussion at the round table. We have seen it does not take much to maneuver the round table to go where you want. If you have a strong-willed person doing it, you can just claim you've been framed, like the question at the top of the episode so many hours ago. Just go with that. Just get rid of the strong-willed person, and then you don't have to worry about that. Plus, she had previously been pointing the finger at Tara. So you could say, oh, look, more evidence it's Tara and Johnny.
This is true. I guess to give a counter argument that's not very good. I just wondered if Rob. I just wondered if Rob doesn't really care that much about Eric. So to him, it's not like, even though he's pretending he wants to protect Eric, if he doesn't really care if Kristen stays. And it's like, yeah, Eric, I believe that we can work our way out of this. But actually, he's like, if Kristen comes for you and you get banished, I don't care. I'll just turn on you and I'll vote for you. I wonder if that's what Rob's really thinking.
But it can be the same way if, okay, let's say that our ploy doesn't work to say you were framed. Okay, then I lose Eric.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
And we get Kristen out, who is one of the more single-minded people right now, who believes and acts like she is being logical. Like, oh, I mentioned Tara's name to her and suddenly I'm in a box. That can't be a coincidence. No, actually, it was 100% a coincidence.
Do y'all think that Kristen is like the best detective left? I know she's mostly been wrong. I think that Eric's suspicion is the first time she's actually been correct. But she is one of the few faithfuls left who's actually like trying to suss out traitors. Natalie, I mean, she's a gamer and she's reasonably effective, especially in missions for, whatever good that's worth. She hasn't really been playing like a good detective game. And then Mark is just kind of like an NPC. Like, if Kristen is gone, who do you think is then their next biggest threat?
I would have said Natalie, actually. I think it's sort of like she's bound to eventually get there. I would guess. I think Maura and Mark are just so close to Rob that they'll just kind of go whatever way the wind blows.
Maura's been close.
Or maybe Johnny eventually figures something out. But I agree that I guess the way that Kristen sort of noticed that Eric was really behaving like a poor faithful was sus, and that there's something going on here.
Right.
Suggests she might just cling to that.
Yeah, with Natalie, I mean, I would not say she's a detective. Like she said at the end of breakfast when she was talking about Steven, I need to start looking closer and not take everything at face value. And I'm like, yeah, episode 9 is a good time to figure that out.
Yeah. Looking ahead, any predictions about the next banishment then? CJ, who do you think could be up next to go?
I think it's just going to turn back on Johnny for sure, because that's where the wind was headed anyway. I think Steven was just, they were able to stave it. Tara and Johnny were able to stave it off him just for one vote. I don't think it's going to last long. But to my earlier point, they could kind of their whole strategy of going down in flames together could actually work out for them. But I do think unless something wild happens with one of our other rando players like Maura and Mark, I think Johnny is nearing his end here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Johnny or Tara. I do think if they murder Kristen, people may jump on the Tara train. And, you know, especially since Mark and Natalie both had second thoughts about Johnny after the round table. They may go with the mastermind Tara idea, you know, that she is just faking it. And, you know, so... You know what? I'll be bold. I'll predict Tara will get banished.
I'm going to do a Candace and throw out a really rogue vote here. And I'm going to say Mark. And here's why I'm saying that. Might it occur to any of the players that the 3 traitors they've banished so far are women? And might they not start to think, surely it's not another woman? We need to look at the guys. They're not going to look at Rob. And well, I know. I guess there's Johnny, and that's the obvious. But I just think it's fun if I say something ridiculous and different to both of you.
No. I think that's where my head's at too. I'm surprised it didn't come up at all. This, you know, the gender question that often happens toward the back half of the season. Yeah, I totally thought that is one of the reasons that Rob picked Eric. The recruit had to be a man for that reason. But again, he never brings it up. I thought that Mark would have been a great candidate for recruitment. But yeah, so I don't think Mark is totally off base.
Yeah.
As a banishee.
Yeah, I did see that. Like, there were a number of people, and I don't know anything about Rob outside this game. I've seen some things. I saw he like posted something on social media, some sort of apology for something he did on Love Island. I don't know exactly what it was. But when he picked Eric, there were some people like, oh, of course he picks a man. He doesn't want to be in the turret with a woman. And I'm like, okay, that may be true. I cannot deny, you know, I don't know. But there is also the issue that, no, you don't want another woman there after they have gotten rid of 3 traitors who are all women.
Yeah.
You know, yes, at some point, they have to think, you know, which is also a good reason to murder a woman, you know, because keep the number of men higher in there so that there's less chance of picking them out.
Yeah. I'm going to change, actually. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go with Eric. I'm going to say, actually, Eric's in trouble and Rob will happily turn on him if he needs to. That's what I'm going.
That's fair.
We've got more to discuss. We're not finished with this episode. Well, first of all, David, any final thoughts to wrap up before we're moving towards our bonus listener episode?
Yes. Now, I do want to say, by the way, I did look at the preview, and it gave us nothing. Literally nothing. Like, it showed... it showed a couple of the players who were on the short list. I was like, ooh. And then I realized, nope, these were scenes from earlier, like them posing in various outfits and stuff. It literally gave us nothing to go on whatsoever. So no counting boxes or seeing someone in a scene or anything like that. So final thoughts. So they murdered Dorinda, even though she was super tight with Rob. Was losing an ally worth it? And I have to say yes, because as I've said a couple times, at this point, it seems like the only 2 people who are not super tight with Rob are Johnny and Tara. So just about anyone he knocks off is going to be in the same position. As for Eric, he made the classic mistake of overcompensating as a new traitor. He didn't want to say anything wrong, so he just didn't say anything. I think that can be mostly resolved if they do indeed murder Kristen. And then getting back to Rob, he continues to just charm and manipulate his way through the game. It looked like there could be that tiny speck of suspicion on him when Maura brought up the Candace votes, but no, heaven forbid. They have clearly drank too much of his bathwater. You know, yesterday morning, I mentioned this earlier, I posted a video saying I think it'll eventually catch up to him. And maybe it will, but these faithfuls are just not getting it. The one way things could go poorly for him, I think, is if he allows Johnny and Tara to somehow get to the end together. I think, like you mentioned, CJ, and they decide, even if they think he's a faithful, they pull a season 2, and they decide, nope, you and I are the only one we trust 100%, so they get rid of him then. But he, and really everybody there, would have to be fools to allow a declared besties duo to get that far. So if he allows it and loses for that reason, all the people who have been saying he's the best, you got to throw that away, which is why I think it's too soon. There are people declaring him the best other than Suri or just the best overall. Wait till the end of the season. Find out what happens, because he could make a stupid move and that would be the end of it.
Yeah. CG, any final thoughts or anything you didn't get the chance to mention? Now's your golden opportunity.
Sure. I think in terms of speculation, I don't have much to add. But besides what we've already talked about, I was pondering whether this is like an entertaining or a good season now that we're at episode 9 and we're about to wrap up here. It's certainly entertaining. I wish that there were better gameplay. I imagine that both of you have talked about this on the pod at length already. It disappoints me that Rob is the only one left who's really like playing hard, or at least employing interesting strategy. He's really become a cult leader at this point. It was giving Sam season 2 of Traitors Australia to me, where literally any utterance that he says, people just believe it hook, line, and sinker. So we are entering cult leader territory. The thing that makes it interesting and good television and not irritating like Sam is that he seems to be still committed to engaging in good gameplay. He's not resting on his laurels. He doesn't have a god complex, I don't think. He's trying to play with Eric. So he's being a good Traitors player. I just wish that anybody would match him. I know that Candace made some very serious strategic errors, but she seemed like a worthy opponent, or she could be a worthy opponent for him. And so once she left, then it kind of became, okay, this is just the Rob show. Speaking of Rob dominating a game, I do watch Survivor, but I haven't seen the season where Boston Rob wins, and I heard that was very much a cult leader season. So it's interesting to me, season 4, from a interpersonal psychological standpoint. From a gameplay standpoint, I'm left to just watch the clock.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, the difference with Boston Rob when he won his season was he was like what was that, his 4th time playing? 1, 2, 3, 3rd or 4th. Sorry, don't quote. I think it's his 4th time playing. And he had a bunch of, I mean, they weren't all clueless. Some of them, 1 or 2 of them played again and showed themselves to be good player, but they were mostly a bunch of clueless newbies who he could just boss around and tell what to do. So, it's almost to that level, except that this Rob is, not a 4th time player, and so it's a bit different in that regard.
Yeah. I want to just give a shout out here. CG, you reminded me, because you talked about psychological aspects of the game, that I mentioned this on the bonus episode last time. I didn't mention it on the main episode. That Suzanne Zedike, who's a research psychologist who I've had on the podcast before, she's fascinated by the Traitors, particularly the Traitors UK. She's American but lives in the UK, and she has put together this incredible presentation about psychological aspects of the Traitors and observations she's made about how people on the show behave and interact. And she has sent it to me and told me to, if people are interested, I should pass it on. She's more than happy for me to do that. So if you 5 or 6 listeners have already sent me some messages saying, hey Matthew, that sounds really interesting. I've sent it on to them, but I'll mention it again now. If you like the sound of that, send me a message.
Consider me number 7. I would love to see it. That sounds right up my alley.
Cool. And it's very much focused on the UK Traitors Series 4. So if you haven't seen that, it will definitely spoil things and might not mean all that much. But if you've seen UK Series 4, I would
I
recommend
haven't
it, and
because
it's
it
got
hasn't
lots
dropped on
of.
Peacock yet, and I've not done like the VPN thing on my end, which I have to. So
Okay.
I'll wait for it to drop on Peacock, and then I'll check out
Yes.
this presentation.
Yes, it's and I think I described it as a document last time, which made it sound very boring, but it's not. It has sort of screen grabs and stills and images, and it looks great. And Suzanne's on the cover with she's got her cloak on, and so yeah, someone one of the listeners asked for it, and I sent it, and they replied, going, "Oh, when you said document, I wasn't expecting this. This is so cool." And it is very cool. So send
It's
me
a
a message
deck.
if
We'll
you
call it
want
a
me to.
deck.
It's a deck. It's a deck, a presentation deck. That's it's so funny. That's at work. This is
I don't
what
know. A
I make.
presentation deck doesn't sound
Yeah,
any
I know,
better.
like, that
You
doesn't
know,
sound
I
much
gotta
better.
say, maybe don't use that
It's the
one.
sexiest PDF you've ever seen.
Exactly. There you go. Now I've said we're gonna move on to our bonus episode. A few things before then. I'm building you up. I am going to talk about a bit more about the online Traitors game and the discount code that I shall be revealing. Before that, CJ, I've said all these wonderful things about you. You're a filmmaker, a writer. Tell us a bit more about how we can find you online. Where can we follow you? What should we be checking out?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at CJLGVA. Please do give me a follow. And you've gassed me up so much that I have not much more to add there. I'm a writer, filmmaker with a specialization in horror comedy. And the only other thing I'm going to add, I know we didn't play the liar game, but I did manage to get a lie in there. And you might have picked it up already, since I know you follow my social media. I do have a cat named Geo, and he's wonderful, and he's my whole entire life. But I only have the one cat. He doesn't have a sibling named Campanella. That is a complete fabrication. In fact,
I knew it. I knew it. If we had been playing the game, that is exactly
Yeah.
what I would have picked.
The online profile where my partner and I found him, the description said, "This cat prefers to be adopted alone." So I imagine that he's a total asshole to other cats.
I swear, when you mentioned two cats, I was like, "Oh, I've only seen a picture of one black cat on your like video." I was like, "Oh,
Imagine
maybe
I
it's got
only
two
have
black
like a
cats."
favorite cat and the other cat. I'm just like, we don't talk about him.
I was going to ask, like, "Oh, is the other cat also a black cat?" And then I was like, "That's a really dumb question. Don't ask that." So I did notice something was not right there. Okay, but CG,
There you
you
go.
also have a podcast. I mentioned it briefly earlier.
Yes, that's right. It's called Bottle Episodes, and it is focused on one location, movies and television shows. And in fact, I recorded the latest episode yesterday, so that's going to be out soon. We talked about 2002's Phone Booth starring Colin
Oh
Farrell.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Please do give us a listen. It's available wherever you get your pods.
Is that Katie Holmes? Is she in that film as well?
It is, yes. Katie
Yeah.
Holmes plays his would-be mistress. It's also got Forrest Whitaker. It's directed by the late Joel Schumacher, and it
Oh
is
wow.
everything you would expect from a Joel Schumacher movie. It's like campy and ridiculous, but also super popcorn fun.
Yeah, I remember I saw that film at the cinema years ago, and I've never seen it since. But I remember I did enjoy it and think it was exciting at the time. It was Colin Farrell fever. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Sounds good. And I'll put
And
the
so
links
many flip
to
phones in one movie.
yes,
Right.
exactly. I'll put the links to CJ's socials in the episode description as well as the podcast. David, where are you online? What are you covering right now?
Right now, I am covering this. Now, I am normally all over social media and reality TV podcasting, of course, here every week for, the next 2 weeks for the Traitors US. But Survivor 50 on the horizon. You can see it. You can see it. It's right there. It's right there. And people can expect 2 Why Blank Lost preview podcasts coming next week on RHAP, because with 24 players, there's no way we're doing that all in one podcast. That would be like even longer than this podcast. And so we will break it up. One should be out probably Monday night-ish or early Tuesday morning, and then a few days later for the next one. In addition, of course, I'm doing my TikTok and YouTube videos, many of which are for the Traitors US, plus lead-ins for Survivor 50, some for Beast Games and Extracted, and, primarily for not primarily because there's only 2 a week, but especially for the traders, I've been doing the mini Why Blank Lost videos for everyone who is murdered and banished on the Traitors US. You can find me at David Bloomberg TV on the video sites. I just went over 14,000 followers on TikTok, so I'm happy about that. Still hovering around 50,000 on YouTube. It's like a wall. I go above it, I go below it. I go above it, I go below it. So, just lots of people join in. And once Big Brother was over, I lost a bunch of people. They were like, I just want Big Brother. I don't want to hear any of this other stuff. So yes, thanks to everyone who follows me in those various places. And you can find everything at Linktree/David Bloomberg.
Easy peasy.
And then also, just as a reminder for the shirt, that was Jenny Rue
yes.
Designs on Etsy. So JenniRue Designs on Etsy.
I will put the link for you, David, but also for Jenny. I'll put that in the episode description so people can find it really easily. As for the podcast, we're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. And you can send me your comments there, your DMs, all your questions that you want us to talk about on the podcast. And you can email me as well at thetraderpodcast@gmail.com. You could do what Rebecca did earlier in the pod. You can leave a voice note so that we can hear you on the podcast at memo.fm/thetraderpodcast. You could send me a voice note on Instagram as well if you feel like it. And wherever you're listening, of course, it's great to subscribe and follow and leave star ratings and all of those great things. It helps, other people find the podcast, keeps it up there on the algorithm and all that stuff. And you can support the pod in a couple of ways. You could buy some merch. I'm sort of falling down a little bit, but I am wearing a Trader t-shirt. There are all sorts of things like that at thetrader.redbubble.com. Or you could visit the coffee.com page if you wanted to chip in a small donation of your choosing. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. And in the last week, a couple of people have donated there, which is really kind. There was an anonymous donation, so thank you, anonymous person. And a donation from Alan. Alan has been on the podcast before. Alan is a loyal listener, big fan of the Traitors. So that was really nice of Alan. Alan said, thank you for being a calming voice during my tumultuous 2025. That is very nice of you, Alan. So thanks for that. And like I said, what I've been teasing this whole way, I'm going to tease you a little bit more. There is a discount code to sign up to the online Traitors game, but haha, I am not going to reveal it now. You'll have to come back to the bonus episode.
You told people you would. I don't think you could do. That's very traitorous behavior.
Right.
I'd be suspecting you if you did that.
This is almost as bad as Alan hyping up the Black Banquet too much. Come on, and give the people what they want.
I'll give you a clue. I have already given you the discount code in this episode. There, I actually have revealed it already. But for sure, to find out, just keep listening a few seconds more. The bonus episode's right after this. It's easy, You'll hear me saying it. I'll do it right at the start, okay? I promise. I'll do it right at the start of the bonus episode. So we will.
I don't know if I should trust you. I think at the start of the episode, you'll be like, well, wait a few more minutes.
No, I promise. I won't. Until that moment, laters, traders.